Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Gargoyles episode reviews. Today we're wrapping up Avalon Part 3, and that is the last episode of the Avalon Triptych. The villains have assembled their forces. So have the protagonists. King Arthur is on the Gargoyles' side, but he lacks Excalibur, his knights, and Merlin. Will his warrior skills hold true after 1,000 plus years of enchanted sleep? He'll be facing Demona and Macbeth, warriors who have been honing their skills for those 1,000 plus years. The Weird Sisters are also going to battle. They'll face Magus, who lost the Grimorum and his magic decades ago. To top things off, the archmage will be using all the power of the Grimorum Arcanorum, Phoenix Gate, and Eye of Odin to fight Goliath. It's going to take real skill on the antagonist's part to lose this game. Check out Part 1 and Part 2 of the Avalon Triptych if you don't know what's going on. Also, just as a side note, I did the math on the years that actually would have passed on Avalon, and if that matched the years that would have passed in Earth, or our reality. And yes, actually, the writers did their math correctly here, unlike in City of Stone. So, props to them. Magus awaits the Weird Sisters. There he is, sitting like a kung fu master, all peaceful before the storm. And that's a little beautiful shot, and he's sitting cross-legged in front of a waterfall. The Weird Sisters show up fashionably late and begin mocking him and his magicless self. But he surprises them. He calls on Avalon to fill him with its energy. Avalon obliges. 2020 moment. We know that Avalon can, quote, send people, quote, where they need to go, unquote. We know it's magical and that it's Oberon's home. But is it semi-sentient itself, like an AI, not an actual person? Same goes for the magic. Is it like an energy creature? What sorcery is this? He zaps the Weird Sisters. They are pissed now. They accuse him of stealing Avalon's magic. Hey, if he can access it, and if he's using it to protect Avalon, he's using it properly. Like, I don't know if you could use it improperly since it's allowing him to use it. The Archmage isn't using it. The Weird Sisters are the ones who are misusing power since they're essentially handing over Oberon's Isle, the home of all the Fae, to a human mage so he can use it to take over the world. That's gotta break a rule somewhere. They're doing all this for their own revenge. Oh, sure, some humans and gargoyles wiggled past the sisters, but the mortals have actually been taking good care of the place. I guess there was probably some spell that kept everything in shipshape, but it's probably better if there's people actually looking after it. There he is zapping them. This actually knocks a few hit points off of him. They promise to make Magus suffer. He's been suffering for decades thanks to his self-imposed punishment. That's the worst kind, you know. There's no escaping it. Even so, they zap him back with their magic. It's pure energy, no special effects. Demona attacks the Avalon clan, who are crappy archers and even worse, warriors. Demona is fully under the Archmage's control. Not even pleased for her to remember the clan is her children help. And I guess no one was there to teach them war. I mean, you've got Magus, who is not a warrior, Kat, who is not a warrior, and Tom, who was a kid. And even, you know, he's got a sword and armor and everything, which I don't even know how they knew how to make that, but he's not trained in combat. And they are missing her, and she is 10 yards away. Come on now. And she's somehow hovering again. Arthur and Macbeth are still dueling. Mac comes up with a sword. Nice. Goliath faces the Archmage. Come on, Goliath. The only way to beat a magic user is to get in close and pummel him. This is a wicked cool shot. There's a Goliath in silhouette coming out of the full moon. At the castle, Demona continues to attack the infirmary guards. Yeah, wow, what a hard competition you got there, Demona. Gabe tries to stop her, but can't swing it. Then Elisa steps in. She's out of ammo, as usual, so she uses Demona's rage against her. Demona goes primal on Elisa. Or tries to. Elisa holds her own well. Pretty impressive. Demona actually tosses her laser rifle aside to go bare knuckles. Like, did the spell make them completely stupid, or is it just her rage getting the best of her? Like, you think after 1,000 years, or 500, whatever, being awake, that she would have kind of realized that she's got to control that temper? at least somewhat, while she's fighting. And Elisa in this picture is holding her off with sheer strength. Yeah, I don't think so. The archmage continues to zap Goliath, getting a real kick out of vengeance. Now he's making the old villain mistake of playing with his food. Tom and Gabe try to hold Demona down, but that's just a dumb idea all around. Then Elisa and the guard beasts join in. That's better. This gives Kat the chance to grab Demona's dropped rifle and turn it against the immortal. Somehow she knows how to use the rifle. I guess she watched really closely and, saw how it worked. Or if nothing else, she accidentally found it. I don't know. Because, I don't know, I guess it was pull the trigger and because the safety was off. Right, you mean to tell me that a warrior with 1,000 years of experience can't get out of this hold that they've got her in? Like, they just sort of plopped on top of her. Heck, I could probably get out of that. And there Kat is, standing with the rifle, and everyone's around her. Boss. The Weird Sisters and Magus are still trading shots. Magus blasts them, but they cry out to Avalon, which sends some storm clouds. Yeah, again, I don't think Avalon's real smart if it does have an intelligence, because otherwise, why would it help them both? Magus flees into the hollow hill, with the sisters on his tail. Oh, now it's green magic around them. Run. Arthur breaks Mac's sword with a mace, then pins the other king to a tree with the broken blade and punches him out. Batter up. Not so fast. Macbeth will be kissing the ring one way or another. There's Macbeth with his sword, but then Arthur pulls back for a punch, and there's his dragon ring on his fist. That's gonna hurt. In the hollow hill, Magus uses the last of his strength to change the armor to chains and bind the sisters. So again, he's using Avalon magic to transmutate or transfigure, maybe, the iron in the suits of armor. I'm assuming it's iron. Okay, like I say, I don't know how that works, since iron is supposed to be the fatal flaw of Fae. His rhyme involves the words witches, which I feel could be swapped easily for another word that more aptly describes them. Also, this must work because it's a human using magic, and energy is energy. Revenge, aka being a sucker. The archmage has the upper hand against Goliath. Why not kill his enemy? He says, I'm having too much fun. Mate, you gotta get another hobby, because this one is not sustainable. Go for low-level antagonist fun like Xanatos does. The worst that happens there is you end up in jail for a few months. Angela knocks the mage off Goliath. Finally, they show up. Goliath gets tossed into the lake, which the archmage ices. Goliath breaks through and latches onto the Eye of Odin on the mage's head. I'm telling you, you gotta get up close with those wizards. Why would you stand on the ice like that, Archmage? And stop gloating. They zap through time and space, appearing in the gate's fireball in various places around the lake. You gotta wonder what they were doing in those times. Did the Archmage get away and G had to track him down and get zapped back? They're in different poses sometimes. And according to Greg, he wanted to show them in different times and places during this, but they lacked the time and resources to design sets for it. That's sad. It would have been interesting to see the various places that they zapped into, since it has to be a place that you can imagine, so it's probably just times where one of them has been. Finally, Goliath muscles the Eye of Odin off the mage's head. Also, it's interesting that he doesn't have to use the incantation to use the Phoenix Gate. Right. The Archmage thinks that it's fine to lose the eye, since he has the gate and the Grimoire. But then the energy backfires. Without the eye, he can't control it. That's why he had to bond with it first. Look at his eyes in the shot. They're like the Disney cartoon eyes. And he starts to go back to his old Archie look. His power consumes him. How ironic. Oh, my lovely magic, he says as he vanishes. The Grimoire is gone, but the gate remains. Goliath takes it. In the hollow hill, Katherine and Magus say goodbye. Goliath adds that he owes the Magus a debt for saving Goliath's children, quote-unquote. Plus, I don't think Goliath regrets the curse anymore. He's had a fuller life in the 1990s than he did in the 990s. I think, anyway. Other than that, he doesn't have Demona. Funny how things we consider disasters sometimes turn out for the best. There's Magus. He's now relieved to finally rest. And he's on the bier that Arthur was sleeping on. And there's Princess Cat. I tear up at this scene. I wonder, does she regret hooking up with Tom instead of Magus? She shouldn't. You can only wait around so long for a man to act. According to Greg, they didn't say die because S&P wouldn't let them. Greg says that bringing Magus back, despite some people's belief that he had survived, would cheapen his life and sacrifice. In conflicts, people stand up for their causes. They also die for them. He has been redeemed thanks to his sacrifice. And you see that a lot now in the modern movies and games and stuff, of bringing back people who had sacrificed for their cause or for their friends previously. And sometimes I like that, and other times I don't. Usually I'll like it if it's my favorite character and I want to see more of them. We wrap up with everyone on the beach. Elisa, Bronx, and Goliath are going to Manhattan. Arthur is going exploring alone, so he's, quote, less conspicuous, unquote. Yeah, sure, knight in armor who doesn't know a thing about the 20th century. Yes, you are just the epitome of subtle. Avalon clan is staying on the island, except for Angela. She wants to go along. Goliath doesn't try too hard to dissuade her. And there she is saying goodbye to Gabe. They see each other as brother and sister, not mates. In exchange for being unbound from the chains, the Weird Sisters release Macbeth and Demona from the gaze. The two won't remember anything about this adventure. The sisters vanish after Goliath breaks the chains, and as Dee and Mac drift off in an Avalon skiff. And their eyes are glowing green. And you better hope that those two stay unconscious the whole way and they come to at the exact same time. And then I don't know what happened after that. I can't really imagine them waking up in the same skiff and it going well. And then the Weird Sisters vanish in a pillar of fire. Now that's an exit. As the Manhattan clan sails off, Tom calls, Avalon doesn't take you where you want to go. It sends you where you need to be. Oh, well, that's not foreboding at all. Somehow, I don't think we're going back to Kansas, Toto. Or Manhattan. Crap. Final thoughts. I must admit, the protagonist's victory was impressive. That said, the fight ended up looking more difficult than it was. By right, it should have been more difficult. Why wasn't it? Because the antagonist made mistakes, and the protags knew enough not to interrupt their enemies while they were making said mistakes. You know the saying, don't interrupt your enemy while he's defeating himself? First, you have the sisters underestimating Magus. They think little of mortals, as we saw in Part 1. They didn't expect him, although he is a skilled magic user, to be able to tap Avalon's magic. Once again, I don't know why he keeps saying he doesn't have any magic when he can tap Avalon's magic, and it didn't seem like it was a surprise to him. It wasn't like, 2020 moment here, when Fox accessed her powers just by sheer mother bear rage. So, I don't know what his problem was there. Then we have the archmage, who basically lost the game for Team Archie. He couldn't have played for the other team more if he'd run the ball in the end zone for them. He could have blasted all 36 Gargs at sunup before anyone knew he was even on the island. The humans wouldn't have stood a chance. But no, he made a big affair of it, unnecessarily complicating it. Sure, Xanatos' plans are complicated, when he could have just taken a straight approach. But that's because he's trying to hit as many targets with one shot as possible. None of them, by the way, involve anything as petty as revenge. He enjoys toying with his opponents, but out-and-out vengeance isn't in his playbook. The archmage loses the plot, getting fixated on revenge to the point that he seems to forget why in the heck he's even on Avalon. He acts like he's just there for revenge on Goliath. He could have had a shot at ruling the world if he'd just gone the common sense route, but no. It's a warning to us to keep our eyes on the goal. The archmage also forgets rule number 1 when playing a magic user. Never let the enemy get close to you. If they get inside your guard, you're screwed. They'll just pound you. Greg says that they wanted to keep true to the mage's cliched roots. They did a good job, keeping things believable here, and showing that the archmage has grown, but staying with the track that they've laid with him. Namely, that he's essentially a petty, greedy jerk. And short-sighted. Like, how can you be so long-sighted as to have this time travel plan, which I guess was sort of the time streams plan, but then so short-sighted as to do what he did? It's a nice reversal to see the Weird Sisters as antagonists instead of benign or even benevolent beings who took pity on Mac and Dee. This is so much sense. Without these eps, City of Stone falls a bit flat since the sisters' motives aren't explained. The Avalon eps are basically the part 2 of City of Stone. And again, I think it was a whole lot of unnecessary hassle to go through to get just Macbeth and Demona there as shock troops. Now, it's almost like, okay, so when you write, you'll have something that is really good. Like, that was really a solid idea. Very well executed. And then you go later on, like next episode, next book, next movie, whatever. And then you have something that is pretty good, pretty solid, but not as good as the first part. So you think, hey, I think I might be able to weave this in with the first one and piggyback on its strength. A lot of times that works, but other times it does not, and you should have just left it as is. Now, my other thing is when Tom came to Manhattan, apparently Avalon sent him there, because otherwise he would just be bouncing around the world, like we're going to see in a minute here. I also can't remember, because I haven't watched these episodes for a while, if Tom would occasionally go out into the real world. I think he did. And I also can't remember how he knew where Goliath was, or that Goliath was even alive. So I guess to find the answer to those questions, you will just have to watch the episode yourself, which you should be doing anyway. Okay, so next time we review Shadows of the Past. We'll run into characters we haven't seen since Awakening. Will Goliath and company be able to lay these ghosts to rest? Well, let me know what you thought of everything, of this triptych. A lot going on, lots of interweaving plots, and some extra information for about like motives and such for our characters. So you can comment here, you can comment on the blog. Remember to like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.